Hi, friends. Welcome back to Notes to My Nervous System, a podcast about understanding your nervous system so you can move through hard moments with a little more calm and a lot less self blame. I'm Erin, a mom, a therapist, and creator of the Mind Circuit app, a nervous system friendly tool for just moments when your body needs a little more support and your brain isn't ready to catch up yet. Today, I'm super excited. We are welcoming Lindsay Lockett, who is a trauma educator, somatic coach, podcast host, and on and on and on. I like to just dive in. So, many women right now are dealing with walking around constantly feeling like they have to hold it all together for themselves, for others, feeling exhausted, frozen, ashamed. The women that you work with who you find dealing with these extreme situations and they're reacting with like over functioning and they feel shut down or overwhelmed or numb or behind from
Mhm.
like the view of a nervous system because that's where my brain always goes. What's happening in the body when somebody is like, oh, I'm just lazy or I'm not doing enough or I'm too much. All that
Mhm.
crap we tell ourselves when really we just need a vacation.
And some boundaries maybe.
That would be lovely. I love boundaries connections, but how do you like explain to the women you work with somatically what's going on and then help them with this pattern of self-blame?
Yeah. So, hi, Erin. Thanks for having me first. I appreciate you inviting me on your show. I love that we're diving right in. To me, it sounds like what you're talking about is like the woman who is holding everything together, carrying it all, tracking mental load like it's her
Yes.
profession. And then she also has this story running in her head that I need to do this, or I'm too much, or if I don't do this, I'm going to be too much, or certain
Not doing enough.
I'm not doing enough. I expect too much from others. If we're looking at this from a nervous system perspective, your thoughts are almost always a reflection of the state of your nervous system because story follows state, right?
Mm.
So your thoughts are almost always a reflection of the state of your nervous system. So I think we need to talk about like the presenting layer that we see is a woman who's very busy and she's tracking and managing, anticipating, planning, fixing, coaching her husband through their conflicts or whatever, right? And
Mhm.
on the surface, we would probably look at her and we would be like, "Man, she's a control freak. Man,
Yeah.
she like she's a lot. She's intense. She's type A. She's anal retentive. She's
Mhm.
bossy. She wears the pants in that relationship." Like, that's what we see on the surface, right?
Mm.
So that's what we're presenting with. But then underneath that, what the root of that is the beliefs of like, if I'm not doing it, no one else will. If I don't carry it, no one else does. And everything drops and it all falls apart. And
And then
there's
you
this,
gotta clean it up later
yeah,
anyways.
yeah. And even if I plan everything down to a T, if something goes wrong, I'm the one that's going to be stuck with the consequences and I'll have to fix it and clean it up.
Yep.
So from a nervous system perspective, overfunctioning, that's essentially the umbrella term for what we're talking about here.
Mhm.
Overfunctioning is a sympathetic fight flight dominant nervous system. May not feel like a panic attack. It may not
Mhm.
feel like big movement of anger. So it might just be this underlying sort of low humming, buzzing energy in the body where it's
Mhm.
like you don't feel like you can be still or you're hyper vigilantly tracking and everything that's in your environment. And so every mess is a threat. Every sink full of dishes is a threat. Every pile of laundry is a threat. Everything your husband forgets is a threat.
Or a wife, because my wife is
Or
really
life,
bad at
absolutely. Your
that.
your partner, your husband, your wife, your whoever the person is, because we also have overfunctioning in non-romantic relationship. Like, I don't just
True.
overfunction in my marriage, I overfunction in my friendships, I overfunctioned as a mother.
Mm.
So, we can overfunction in any relationship, just where my work primarily is with couples. It's a sympathetic fight flight dominant nervous system. And when your nervous system is sort of baseline operating in a fight flight state, even if it's like a low humming fight flight state, and you probably would not say, oh my gosh, I'm so dysregulated all the time.
No,
Oh
you
my gosh,
wouldn't.
I just feel so anxious all the time. You probably wouldn't say that. You would probably say, well, this is just how I am. I've always been this way. I've always been something who did everything. I've always been a planner. I've always been type A, right? Like you would say that about yourself because you think it's your personality. So I think that's kind of where I like to start is by telling people this is not your personality. This is a really clever adaptive strategy that your body came up with so that you could exist in the world and in your relationships without being too much. This is your way of your body's clever, creative way, your subconscious's clever way of going, oh, you've been told that you're too intense and too much and too needy and too whatever your whole life.
Mhm,
I'll fix this for you. Just go do something for everybody else. Just plan everything. Just manage everything. Just keep track of everything in your head.
mhm.
And then that will allow you to exist and it keeps things stable. And now you are indispensable. Look how valuable you are. Look what you bring to this. You bring stability, you bring predictability, you bring continuity, you protect other people from disappointment, you protect other people from the consequences of their inaction,
So,
right?
everything that you would want for yourself, you're providing it for everyone else.
Bingo.
Okay.
And denying it from yourself because you don't believe that you're allowed to want or need what you provide for other people because then you would be taking up too much space and that's too much. So, in a sympathetic dominant nervous system, even if you don't feel the fight flight energy, often what that feels like is you just have a higher baseline of excess stress hormones. So, your
Okay.
body has more cortisol and adrenaline pumping through your veins. And it's probably been like that for so long that to you, it just feels normal. Yeah, we have these higher baseline stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline and the reason why I know it's a sympathetic dominant state is because that's the state when cortisol and adrenaline raise. And it's because the sympathetic state of your nervous system is the mobilizing state of your nervous system. It's your nervous system going, we need to move here. And in order to move, we need energy. So
Mm.
it's like the sympathetic nervous system is the gas of your body. It's like when you need to make something happen, you got to mobilize that energy and hit the gas so you can go. Doing, compulsive doing, anticipating, managing, planning, whatever, it allows you to be really, really useful to others, and it also gives you somewhere for that excess cortisol and adrenaline to go. So, when you stop compulsive doing, now you're left with space between I'm noticing that there's a mess or there's something I need to fix or there's something I need to do. And now I'm not compulsively doing it. I'm creating space between myself and the thing that I would normally do. And now you actually feel that excess cortisol and adrenaline because you're restraining yourself from doing it. So now that energy has nowhere to go. And that is the hardest part of learning not to overfunction anymore is that liminal space in between when you've recognized the compulsion and now you're practicing the labor of self-restraint. And that cortisol and that adrenaline needs somewhere to go. And it's not going into the compulsive doing and fixing and planning and managing. So now you have to sit with it yourself and you don't have an outlet for it. And that's when the real work begins.
And that's
Did
when
that
a
answer your
lot.
question?
Yes, absolutely. I love this. And that's where I start to notice people backing off or self-sabotaging or, not following through with holding the boundaries or whatever it is because it's so uncomfortable for them not to be doing.
Absolutely.
How do you help someone through moments like that?
We have to teach them to titrate exposure to that. Oh my God, I'm noticing the compulsion to do something, but if I right? Like, I'm noticing that I'm doing it from this place of compulsion or this place of should or this place of this is going to be a hard one for overfunctioners to hear. We get a dopamine hit every time we solve a problem. right? So every time we see the sink full of dishes, even though they're not our dishes and it's not actually our responsibility to wash those dishes, the brain and body are clocking the sink full of dishes as something's wrong. It's not supposed
Mhm,
to be like that. And so then we just, if we're not in awareness, we just compulsively go over there and probably resentfully start washing the dishes because we're tracking, well, these aren't my dishes. Why the fuck do I have to wash these dishes? Why is it my
exactly.
responsibility? But we're still washing the fucking dishes, right? And so we have to teach the body that it doesn't always need the chemical relief of dopamine that we
Mhm,
get every time we fix or solve a problem that isn't our responsibility to fix or solve. That is the curse of over functioning, is that you are socially rewarded for the
mhm,
very thing that is destroying you from the inside out. You are
absolutely.
praised and rewarded and, "Oh, what a good wife you are, and what a good mother you are, and what a good friend you are, and what a good housekeeper you
Mhm,
are, and look how worthy you are because of all the plates that you're spinning, and you make it look good while you're doing it." But on the inside, you're exhausted, you're burnt out, you're resentful, you don't want your partner to fucking touch you. You probably, like, let your anger leak out sideways at your partner or your kids. It's like we have to teach the body that that chemical relief of the dopamine, yes, it feels good for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then your brain is right back to like, "Okay, now what else can I notice to do?" And so when you're in a higher like a baseline sympathetic response and you have the higher baseline cortisol and adrenaline, naturally makes you more hypervigilant. So, one of the conversations that I have had with my husband and my children who are now adults and live at home with us, for years, I would say things like, "You guys have eyes too. Why is it that I seem to see all of this stuff and you guys just walk through the house and you walk past this pile of laundry that's been here for days. You walk past the dishes that have been there for a couple days. You're walking past this mess that you left on the table a few days ago, a week ago. Why is this empty box still sitting in the
oh
hallway
my
and no
god.
one's taking it out?" Right?
Are you
So
watching me at home or something? Because I literally just said that about an Amazon box yesterday.
no, love, I just know this pattern inside and out. But yeah, it's like and so I would literally be like, "Are you guys even seeing the things I'm seeing?" And when I recognized that made me more hypervigilant, they were not as hypervigilant as me.
So they didn't
So
notice it to the level
well,
you
they were
did.
seeing it, but they weren't clocking it as a threat the way my body was clocking it as a threat. So
Okay.
we were seeing the same things, but their nervous system saw the empty box sitting on the floor and walked around it no problem. My nervous system sees the empty box sitting in the floor and is like huffy and pissed and resentful because why the fuck is the box in the floor after 5 days? Can nobody fucking pick this up? Like that is literally how I sound whenever
Yeah.
I am like that.
Same.
So yeah, the but if I pick it up, if I pick up the box, I'm going to get an immediate sense of relief from my dopamine because now I have but it wasn't my problem to solve.
No, and then
And
you're
solving the
repeating the
problem,
pattern.
yeah, it comes with the cost of me continuing to resent the people I live with and of me needing to keep doing things to get the dopamine relief. So when you stop over functioning at first, you have a massive dopamine withdrawal.
Oh god, that sounds awful.
Yes, it feels like detoxing from a drug.
It sounds like it. It sounds like an
I could
addiction that
imagine.
you keep repeating, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it sounds awful.
Yeah.
How do you what helps to reassure your body when you're losing the hits from dopamine that it's still safe, that you're still okay? Because we're supposed to trust our gut and our bodies, but when you're not getting your dopamine fix and you're withdrawing, your body's not liking you too much.
That's very true. And that's why whenever I work with people in this, I'm very upfront about what they can expect. I feel like the more we can educate people that, like, when you stop doing your coping mechanism that rewards you with dopamine, it's gonna feel like everything you're doing is it's gonna feel like not doing anything is wrong. It's gonna feel like your skin's crawling and and that's normal. So when you feel it, can you pause and notice that you're feeling it and like, "Okay, Thank you for letting me know that deviating from my own dopamine is so hard, and I'm still gonna hold this boundary with myself and not overthink. And, like,
That's
it
so
does require some tolerance to be in the discomfort, right? Like, we won't just decide and now magically we're just not over functioning anymore. It's
that
hard.
sounds rough.
Yeah.
You have kids, adult kids.
Mhm.
Were you able to, like, stop this generational, like, almost like a trauma response with your kiddos, or
So, interesting question. My son will be 22 next month, and my
Yeah,
daughter will be 21 in July.
okay,
And my son is a math buff, but we're working on it.
cool.
My daughter, interestingly, she has a tendency to overfunction for her brother. So we've started noticing that, and I explain that to her and given her language, and I've also taught her, like, when you notice yourself doing the things that your brother is supposed to be doing, that's your cue to hold a boundary and be like, "Buddy, this is yours. I'm step
It's
up and do your."
yeah, it's hard. I have teenage kids, a boy and a girl,
Mhm.
and it's funny because my daughter used to do that, and so we would have conversations about, you're not telling him you're doing the chores for him, you're not expressing your frustration, and you're doing it, and he doesn't have to do anything. Why would he change? And now they've reversed, where now she's gone to the other extreme. She's not doing things, and her brother will just pick up and do stuff for her and then feel resentful. So we're going to have another talk. It's like it's
Mhm.
so hard to model and then have these conversations for the next generation. Is Do you find anything easier with trying to break this pattern with the next generation? You're starting the conversation sooner. Does any of that support this?
Our daughter has definitely stepped way back from overfunctioning for her brother.
Oh, that's
We
great.
we
At
kinda
such a
tested it
young
out.
age.
Yeah, yeah, we kinda tested it out at the beginning of December. My husband and I had to go visit my dad because he was having some medical stuff,
Oh, I'm
and,
sorry.
no, he's okay. But because the kids are adults, they can hold down the fort, they can feed the dogs, all the things. So, we gave them all the things they need to do before we left, and I was really nervous because I was like, "I really hope that it doesn't end up being how it is every time we go out of town." And she ends up doing everything, and then he ends up, knocking on his door and being like, "Are you gonna come wash the dishes? Are you gonna come feed the dog?" And then when he doesn't, she doesn't. So, while we were gone, let everything happen that's gonna happen. I can't keep checking in while I'm gone. I'm already dealing with enough with my dad. But then I got home and I was tired and I was like, "Addie, how did it go?" And she was like, "No, mama, he did what he was supposed to do. I didn't."
Oh my goodness, that's
And
awesome.
hallelujah. I think we're getting somewhere.
But that's great because whoever their future spouse is going to like you and not hate you because you showed your children how to be adults,
I
right?
hope.
That's my thing, is like, I only have them for such a short amount of time, and I want my future daughter, son-in-law, whatever, to not resent me because I didn't teach my kids how to take care of themselves,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic to segue into because I
Hmm.
love my in-laws, but I'm like, "You guys are part of the reason that we're in this because they raised an
Yep.
and my parents raised an overfunctioner, and I don't know that we were ever gonna not be in this. We were perfectly set up to be this overfunctioning addiction, you know? I'm a firstborn daughter. My
Same.
son's the 3rd out of 4.
Mm.
So he's got that sort of easygoing. He's the kid his parents never had to worry about. He never had to learn how to do much. He wasn't expected to keep his room clean, like, all the things, and then he marries a firstborn daughter, and I've been raising children since I was, like, I've been cleaning up after people and planning and anticipating all the things since I was little, and he never. So, yeah, we're figuring it out 25 years later.
It's hard when you recognize and you look back. Like, the more I learn as a therapist and just as a woman and understanding the nervous system and these patterns and attachment, I look back and I'm like, why was I okay with this? Or why did it go that way? And I'll do the same with my partner. I'll be like, "And why did you put up with this or that?" I can see it from both lenses. And I'm like, wow. Now, how do we take this 20 plus years and figure out a better way that doesn't cause us to implode, resent each other? It's so messy.
So
So
messy.
it is. I really hope for this next generation, they have a better handle on it. So they're starting at a better level than we
Well, I
did.
mean, I think honestly, I think social media for that because
True.
so many people, like, I'm not a huge social media person in terms of being a consumer, like, I only follow, like, 25 accounts or something. I don't really care. But I do think the advantage of social media is that the spread of information is so rapid, and so I've had so many people on my account since I started talking about over and under functioning, just being like, "Oh my god, there's a word for this. I didn't have any language for this before." And so I think that's the gift maybe that we're giving the next generation
Is
the
the
language, the awareness, they can see themselves inside of it whenever it's happening. Our parents did not have that language.
Not whatsoever. This wasn't even a conversation that one would have thought of. So, I always tell people when I'm working with them or just talking, like, I can say my parents messed this up, but also at the same time recognize there's no way they could have not,
Nope.
because they didn't have the skills, the language, or the knowledge.
Or any
And also,
resources,
no, and I'm sure my kids are gonna say the same thing about me 10 years from now, you know?
probably. Yeah.
So, it's okay to recognize what you didn't get.
Yep.
It's just a way to figure out, "Okay, what do I need to do different now moving forward?"
Yeah.
It's not blaming the next generation or whatnot. It's just acknowledging the situation.
Yeah. This is what happened, for better or for
Huh.
worse.
So are you finding the overachiever, underachiever dynamic coming up a lot recently because of social media? Or is it just something you've always been working with and helping
I
people?
mean, I would say that I didn't have the word overfunctioner in my vocabulary until last year, but I do have a background in evangelical Christianity. So in addition to being a first-born daughter who's been raised, I was also raised to fill the role of the woman who does it all and makes her husband look good, you know, raises those godly children, and so I didn't have those words in my vocabulary, but when I started EMDR therapy so whenever I started EMDR in 2017, we did a lot around my religious trauma. I learned a new word. Patriarchy wasn't in my vocabulary. Yeah, because I wasn't raised in activist culture or like, I was raised as, like,
Oh, I'm
patriarchy
originally
is
from
not a bad thing
yeah,
in
I'm
the South.
originally from Chicago, even though
Mm,
I'm here in Asheville now, and raised very strict Roman Catholic. But for whatever reason, both my parents wanted us to have a backbone.
amazing,
So we
amazing.
knew about it, but also we had to listen when we were told to. So it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but anyway, I learned
Patriarchy
the word.
was
No, not at all, not at all.
that
Um,
just blows my mind.
yeah, I just
That's so true. So now that you have this understanding of some of the foundation,
mhm.
what are you
Yeah,
doing
so
with
I
it?
I remember clearly, like, I left in that day, sat down with my kitchen that night and was like, I don't understand why you're an adult, like, and I but it never occurred to me to question seriously, the religious thing was wrong.
No?
So, really our first conversation that I feel was the beginning of picking apart the knot of our over so that was 2017. Since then, David learned how to take care of his daughter. He even cooks dinner for us, starts the laundry regularly. He's the primary cupper. He's the primary errand runner. He brings me breakfast in bed, and the beginning of construction of the over-functioning, under-functioning started in 20 and I feel like we made some really big progress in that time. But then 2025, I just hit a wall. Every time he would forget, I would fly into a and every time I had to remind him, I would fly into a rage. And it was just my
That's not
body communicating in a really strong way, like, "This has gone on for long enough, and you guys have made a lot of progress, but it's still not enough progress. Like, you're still doing too much." And I was full of resentment, and I was bitter, and I didn't want him to touch me, and it wasn't because he was, like, some harmful, abusive, toxic
yeah.
man. It was because being your husband's mother after 24 years is not attractive.
No, that's not
And
very sexy.
no,
Mm-mm.
and it wasn't
No.
like he ever expected me to take on this role. I just naturally took it on when we started our relationship, and he naturally took on the role that he had in his family of origin, which was like, just stay out of the way. Just, like, stay out of the way and be easygoing and don't ruffle anything up, and your mom will make dinner for you, and your dad makes all the money, and your mom does everything else, and this is what a godly family looks like in a First Baptist church in West Texas. Like, it was literally just our conditioning and our individual trauma responses, which not to compare trauma, but I have an ACEs score of 7 and he has an ACEs score of 2. So, like, we
Oh,
also have a
okay.
massive difference in our trauma.
Right.
Um, so my body is just more sensitive, and I think that the more healing I do, the more sensitive I get, and I thought the more
Mhm.
healing I do, the less sensitive I would get, but it has not been that. It's been the more healing I do, the more sensitive I get, and so I think that sensitivity just showed itself in a really big way last year, where I was like, even though you're doing these things that women often complain that their partners don't do, I'm still your memory. I'm still your reminder system. I'm still tracking like, we had the funniest it's funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time. He was making dinner one night, whatever recipe he was using called for some tomato paste, and he was like, "I'm gonna run down and get the tomato paste because we have a pantry in our basement." And I was like, "Why are you going down to get the tomato paste? There is an open can of tomato paste with a plastic cover on it on the second shelf in the fridge behind the mayonnaise." And he was like, "Oh, I didn't know we had any open. I didn't know it was there." And I was like, "What do you mean? You're the one that put the cover on it and put it in the fridge." And he was like, "Well, I just forgot." And I was like, "Of course you forgot. You don't have to remember that the open fucking can of tomato paste is behind the mayonnaise on the second shelf. You don't have to remember that. I do." And I totally victimized myself, and it was totally bitter and resentful and like I should not have handled it that way. But that just goes to show you like the stupid levels of things that I was tracking, that I could tell you where an open can of tomato paste was in my fridge without opening it and actually looking. And I'm like,
Totally.
why am I tracking the layout of my refrigerator in my brain? Why am I doing
Yes,
that?
yes.
And it was
I
like,
have the pantry memorized. I can tell
yeah,
you the linen closet. Anytime somebody needs toothpaste and they're like, "We're out," I'm like, "No, it's on this shelf behind this."
yep,
Why am I holding on to that?
yep.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
and I don't have an answer for why other than in my
No.
childhood, being able to track literally the details of everything sometimes depended on my safety. So being like the things I remember tracking as a kid were things like the sound of my mom's footsteps coming down the hall or how loud the cabinet doors and drawers were closing in the kitchen when she was cooking. And I would know like
Mm,
what her mood was based on how the doors
right.
were closing. Like I do remember tracking those things as a kid. And that benefited me because the more I could track, the more I could predict what she was going to be like. And then I could adjust myself and be like, "Oh,
Mhm.
mom's in a really bad mood. I better not be too much," or I better
Right.
go in there and be super helpful, right?
Mhm.
I better, "Oh, I know what'll make her happy. She's in a bad mood. I'll go like rearrange all the decorations on the mantle and make it look super, super pretty, and then that will make her feel better." And so like me being able to track and anticipate her moods or my stepfather's moods, literally my safety depended on it. I mean, in a home where I literally had the choice between I can anticipate and track and adjust myself, or I can get the shit beat out of me with a belt. Like, it was literally life or death for me.
Yep.
And that's not dramatic. That's not a
No.
dramatic thing. But I think that because I started out so young, having to track things that were so high stakes, that tracking low stakes things like the tomato paste in the fridge didn't seem like that big of a deal. And if I knew where it was, I mean, I also grew up with like poverty trauma and scarcity trauma and like all that kind of stuff. So it's like, if I know where the open can of tomato paste is, then that means we don't have to buy new tomato paste. So we save money. And it means we're not wasting the tomato paste we have. So now we're being good stewards of our resources. And that was all deeply ingrained to me as a kid, too. We don't waste. We're good stewards of our resources. We do things efficiently. We don't make 2 trips to the store. We remember everything the first time we go. That was very, very much a part of my childhood. It came into my marriage in the form of me being very snarky about open tomato paste. And now I can laugh about it and be like, "Oh, it's not your fault you were like that." But I could not tell you, Erin, right now what leftovers I have in my refrigerator. I don't know.
That's a huge improvement.
I
That's
don't know.
awesome. And
Yeah,
everybody listening to this, your why, if you guys don't know your why, that's okay. Like
yeah,
sometimes we don't have answers. Even
yeah,
people who are experts or professionals, we don't always have the answers either. But if you can acknowledge what you're doing it, then you can at least work on it, right?
yep,
Sometimes the
100%.
why isn't like the end all be all.
Right.
For
Yeah.
you, it sounds like it was very helpful and informative as you've moved through your healing process, though.
I tell my people all the time, what we're doing isn't as important as why are we doing it. So I know you're saying the why for like unlearning overfunctioning. I'm talking about the why behind overfunctioning, right? So, like, for example, I made some posts around Christmas about overfunctioning for the holidays and like how women will just go above and beyond and they'll decorate and they'll cook and they'll plan and they'll host and they'll, right? And they're buying gifts for everybody and they're tracking all of that and planning the menu and making table settings and place cards and whatever the fuck else. And I made some posts about that over the holidays and I got some comments, which I expected that I would, from women who were like, I genuinely love doing all of that for the holidays. They're like, I really love it. It feels like magic to me. I love what it does for my kids. I love what it does for my family. I enjoy the decorations. I enjoy the cooking. Like, I really love that. And my honest answer to that is so great for you. I'm talking to the women who do this, and their why is not, I love it so much. Their why is, I feel bad and I feel guilty if I don't do this. Their why
Yes.
is, my in-laws are gonna be mad if they don't show up to my house and it's fully decked out for Christmas, right? That's their why. So, decorating the house, presents, planning, menus, everything, that's the what. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter. Why are you doing it? Why?
Yeah.
And if it's
No,
not because you love it, if it's not because it's authentic, if it's not because you would do it for yourself, even if no one else was there,
that's a
then you're
big one. I like that. If you wouldn't
then
do
you're
it for
over-functioning.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh, I love that.
thanks.
I'm totally going to steal that. Say it once more
Do
for
it.
our listeners.
Why would you still do it for yourself even if nobody else was coming over to see it? Do you love it so much that you would put up the lights, the decorations, you'd plan the menu, you'd do the food, you'd buy the presents, all the things, even if nobody showed up because you love it so much that you will do it
Mhm.
for you? That I mean, I feel like
No, that's
that
huge. That's a
that
huge, like,
confronts people, right? It confronts people
Mhm.
with like, "Oh." Because to me, and this may not be the case for everybody, but for me, when I'm doing something solely because I'm trying to impress people or I'm trying to create an experience for people that I don't really care if I have that experience or not, but I feel the pressure that like I have to make this magical for you or like I have to make this special for you or whatever. And then I do it and I put on a face of like, "Oh, I love it, and I love hosting, and I just love all this stuff." I'm sorry, I'm talking like a valley girl, I don't know why that came out, but, like, I'm not in integrity with those people. I feel so strongly about integrity, and for me, integrity and authenticity are linked. Like, you can't separate them. So, if I'm doing something to impress you, not only is it not authentic for me to do that, but now I'm not in integrity with you.
Mhm.
Because I've now created this version of myself that I want you to think is real. that isn't actually real, but you're impressed by it, and that makes my ego feel really good, but I'm
Mm,
gonna resent you for it later, right? Now I'm not even
I'm
in integrity with you because I'm not being honest.
yeah.
So for me, over functioning, like, yes, it's exhausting. It makes you burn out. It creates all this resentment, yada, yada, yada. For me, it wasn't about getting over the resentment, getting over the burnout, getting over the exhaustion. It was about I have to get back in integrity with myself and with these people in my life. And if I am spinning and working in circles around them and
Mhm.
preventing everybody from being disappointed and managing everything for you and tracking everything in the house in my head so that when you ask where it is, I know exactly where it is. I am not in integrity with you because
Mm.
I'm not being honest.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. That's so
Yeah.
powerful. That is such a good takeaway and question for us to have to ask ourselves. Not to make anybody feel bad or anything, just to give you the space and the pause to really ask yourself, are you doing this for you? Are you in integrity with the other person? Like,
Yeah.
awesome. Before we wrap up, you just gave us so much good stuff, but I'm still going to ask you my last question I ask everybody.
Go for it.
Uh, what is one thing you would tell your younger self if you could? And I always ask this because I think it's important for other women. I'm assuming most people listening to this are probably women, but for them to hear it, right? Something maybe they didn't get told. You never know who it's going to help.
Choose earlier in your life to fuck around and find out what happens when you stay in authenticity and stay in integrity.
I love that. And I am sure that spoke to someone out there. So you just had an awesome ripple effect.
I hope so. I
I'm
hope
sure
we can
you
get
did.
women to stop over functioning all over the world.
Oh my goodness. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I really do. I feel like it is like one of the curses of women is to overfunction.
It is. And if we stop doing it, the things that would fall apart
Let
and
them.
would call attention to it, so it'd have to be corrected and fixed correctly
Mhm,
and not by us, like the
mhm.
positive impact that could have. Because sometimes
Yeah,
things have to fall apart so we can see what we need to really do different.
yeah, and so many of us, myself included at one time, were not willing to fuck around and find out what was
Mm-mm.
gonna fall apart if I stopped holding everything together.
Yep.
And as I always say, like, one of my things I'm known for saying is, like, when you fuck around and find out by embodying your authenticity and staying in integrity with yourself, there are gonna be some people that absolutely love that, and that is magnetic to them, and there are gonna be people that absolutely hate that, and it repels them, it offends them, they feel some kinda way about it. Whatever their reaction or response is to your authenticity, you gotta fuck around and find out, right? You have to
Mhm.
risk being authentic. That's the fucking around part. And then the finding out is really valuable information. Now I'm showing you who I am for real. And in
Mhm.
response, you're showing me who you are for real.
Yep.
And that gives me information about what my boundaries need to be in this relationship. That gives me valuable
Mhm.
information about the depth of this relationship, the level of intimacy in this relationship, the safety of this relationship. And so many people, especially women, are afraid to fuck around because they're afraid of what they're going to find out.
Yes. Absolutely. They're afraid the
And
person's not gonna step up, but until you give that other person the opportunity to step up, to give
yep,
them that higher expectation, you're not gonna find out.
yep. You give them the
Wonderful.
space, you find out that they weren't going to step up anyway. Now you get to use your agency to choose what you're going to do. And
Exactly.
you were never without agency as long as you weren't being abused. You were never without agency. You always had a choice.
Absolutely. This has been such a fun conversation. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
I've had fun too, Erin. Thank you. I love
Well,
talking about this, if you can't tell.
oh, I love it too. I absolutely do. And I hope the ripple effect is just going to be awesome from this. So
Same.
thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
You too, Erin. Bye-bye.
Bye. Before you go, let's take one small second to notice your body, your feet, your breath, the chair holding you. Nothing to fix, just letting your nervous system know that it made it through another moment. If this episode helped you even a little bit feel more steadier, that's what it's supposed to do. And that's all that matters because that's what this show is here for. If you would like more of these gentle, science-based resets between episodes, before bed, before a big meeting or a big test, you can find my app, Mind Circuit. It's in the App Store or Google Play. It's a quiet place to help your brain come back online when life feels too loud. Thank you for being here. Your nervous system deserves care, not pressure. And as always, please be kind to your own wiring.